Hey folks, this video is part of a series on GitHub Copilot feature highlights. To find the other videos, go to github-copilot.zebia.ms. In this video, I want to show you what the GitHub Copilot CLI integration can do for you as well. GitHub has a very nice CLI where you can just go GitHub on your command line and say, for example, -v for version, and get some information of how you can interact using the GitHub CLI with GitHub itself. GitHub Copilot is an extension for that CLI. You need to install that separately. You can find the documentation online. And of course, do be aware that this needs to be enabled by your organization administration in GitHub. There are several policies that can be enabled for business and enterprise licenses. And one of them is to allow or disallow the GitHub Copilot CLI to be used as well. I have that installed, so I can use that. And then you can just start typing GitHub Copilot. And I can do, for example, -h again to get more information of what I can do. And you can see here in the example that I have, that it already gives me, saying, hey, we can do suggestions for how do I do certain things on the command line. Do we aware of that as the context of care there? Or saying, for example, hey, I see something flying by. In this case, they're giving a trace route example here. Explain what is happening to me. So we can use the power of GitHub Copilot to help you traverse your command line interface anywhere where you're doing certain things. You can see that there's also a configuration option available in here. And then we have explain and suggest. And explain and suggest are the two main ones that you'll be using. And I usually use suggestions as much as possible. You can use that to do anything that you would like to do from the CLI. It helps if you have the same context in here. We're doing something, so we could say GitHub Copilot, explain how can I deploy my application to AWS using Terraform. So you can make this pretty abstract and pretty broad, saying, hey, I want to do certain things there. And it says, okay, do be aware I'm an AI, mistakes are possible. You can see that in the top here, that it does give you that warning while it is doing certain things. And then we get a pretty nifty explanation. Hey, to deploy your application to AWS, follow these kinds of steps. So this becomes, again, a peer programming buddy that you can ask questions to, maybe questions that you're afraid to ask to your coworker, because they might think you don't know these kinds of things. We can learn from these kinds of tools and do certain things. Even going so far as I'm doing a complex Git operation and my merge has failed and now I need to rebase, explain that process to me. You can ask that to the GitHub Copilot CLI, for example. And then you can, of course, have those explanations in there, have those extra suggestions. You can do this for everything. Hey, I get this error back while I'm giving this command. Can you give me an example of how I can improve there? So I hope you now have a little bit of a sense of this is what you can do with GitHub Copilot in the CLI and help you do your daily work from there as well. Visit github-copilot.zebia.ms for the other videos.